Okay, so today we're going to be discussing how to correct breathing and how to activate the core correctly. The idea here is we need to begin with the body completely relaxed. It's very difficult to activate good patterns when a person's feeling tense. So we need to first create a very relaxed posture, and we do this by placing the legs up on a box like this. We're trying to reproduce an infant 3 to 4 month position. This is placing the hips and the body in a nice relaxed aligned position. For some people who tend to be stiff in their upper back or have a fair amount of forward head position, resting the head on a towel or a very small pillow will help them to relax the neck and keep their posture more elongated and aligned. So we begin by getting the person to relax the jaw, relax their neck muscles, the chest. We want the shoulders to be in a nice down and relaxed position. The groin muscles also nice and relaxed. Relaxing the hands. This may take a few minutes to accomplish, and give yourself time to let your body relax and being prepared to be able to activate with good isolation. So from here we just begin to observe how does a person breathe. We don't want to see the chest breathing that is so predominant in the clinical setting. That's what we're trying to change. We're trying to get people to breathe correctly through the diaphragm, getting the air, getting the activation down through this area here. Now, even though the lungs actually end just above where the rib cage ends, what we're trying to get happen here is the diaphragm to be able to descend directly down towards the pelvic floor, and by doing so we're creating intra-abdominal pressure that's really going to create an activation down through to this area here. So we begin with breathing. So what we'll get someone to do is we're going to place one hand on the lower abdominal area and the other hand up on the chest. And what we're going to get them to do is focus on breathing into this hand much, much more than up to this hand. So we want to feel the activation from breathing occur here first and like 70 to 80% and here second. So we just go ahead and just ask them to breathe. And so we're looking for that expansion as the hand lifts. Watching to make sure that the neck muscles, the jaw muscles stay relaxed, the shoulders stay down. We want to keep the shoulders down like that. We don't want to see any gripping in through the groin. Now, once they establish the direction of breathing, focusing more towards down here than up here, we really are looking to create that circumferential activation, that circumferential intra-abdominal pressure. So what we'll get them to do is take the hand, and the thumb is going to be placed in the lower back area, just below the rib cage, and just to the outside where the back muscles are. The hand is going to be pressing into the lateral side of the abdominal wall, and the fingertips are going to be just inside the pelvis and through here. So they're going to snug the hand in. They're going to do that with both sides. And what we want to feel here is when they're breathing, are they breathing into the fingertips, which is difficult? Can they breathe into the lateral side of the hand, which is more difficult to do? And can they actually create an activation into the thumb area? This way we know that the diaphragm is descending directly straight down towards the floor, not down and forward, and definitely not, we definitely don't want to see the rib cage lifting when they're doing this. She's doing a perfectly good job at this, which is good. Now, sometimes people are finding it really difficult to get that activation happening. So if they were to use perhaps some small foam balls and placing it down into this area here on both sides, feeling that the pressure of the ball pushing into those back muscles, and what they're trying to do is breathe into those balls, feel themselves pressurizing down into the balls. The idea here is we're not creating a crunch. We don't want to see people pushing down into the table. We're using intra-abdominal pressure to fill that void in their back. So it's not a press down, it's an activation into the table that they're feeling. The second part is, now that we can establish a good breathing pattern, can we actually generate pressure into these areas? So here what we'll get her to do is we're going to get her right down here, is I want her to push forward into her fingertips. So go ahead and push out hard. We want to feel the activation down as low to the pubic bone as we can, so we know that pressurization is happening all the way down into the pelvic floor to activate the pelvic floor muscles as well. So can she hold that? Then we come through here is, do we actually feel a pressurization here as well? If not, she'll focus on my fingers and I'll ask her to push my fingers away. So go ahead and push my finger. Wonderful. So then, do we also have pressurization into the back? Ideally, if I had a piece of paper here with having correct activation of the abdominal wall, I should not be able to pull the paper out. Again, not by crunching down, which is taught so often, but by having ideal activation, ideal pressurization of the entire abdominal chamber. So if we can create that activation, can we create the activation and breathe? It's kind of pointless to be able to have a good activation but then not be able to breathe. That's not very functional. A lot of people are really good at the activation and generate intra-abdominal pressure when they inhale, but they completely fall apart when they exhale. Intra-abdominal pressure, stabilization, has to be able to be provided during inhalation and exhalation. Otherwise, you're only stable half the time, or everything you do, you have to do holding your breath, which doesn't make sense at all. So now what we'll do is I'll get her to push me away. She's going to hold that tight, and I'm going to ask her to breathe into this area. And when she exhales, she can't lose the pressure. So I don't want to feel my hands sinking into the abdominal area as she exhales. Now she's doing this really well up front. We'll ask her to keep doing that, but we want to feel, do we have the same quality out to the sides? So we're losing a little bit right here during her exhalation, so she's going to push out a little harder. And then she's going to continue breathing. And I'm going to get her on her exhale. I'm going to get her to focus a little bit more on pressurizing during her exhalation. Perfect, there she goes, it just kicked in. So now we reach around to the back, and I want to feel that there's no hollowing, no void created during the exhalation part. And she's activating perfectly. So now we have this circumferential activation. A lot of people also get confused with the notion of belly breathing. We definitely don't want to see belly breathing. We don't want to see this belly activation. We're not here to see this big mound being created in the front, which is very inappropriate, but rather this full activation from the back all the way around to the other side. We have a lot more detail about how the core functions, what the anatomy is, in a previous video called Core Stability Explained from the Inside Out. And if you visit our blog at cloverdalecairo.com/blog, we have a 4-part series on the core, what it does, how it activates, inappropriate strategies of activation, and the whole DNS model and how it all works together. So if you have more interest, you can tune into those and get some great information. This forms the basis of any core exercise. Without the quality of activation that we're trying to achieve here, there is no exercise that's going to improve your core function. The core is intended to generate stability through intra-abdominal pressure. And without the proper activation, the only thing you're doing in your exercise programs, no matter how well intended, how well designed the exercise is, you're going to be reinforcing bad patterns that you already are suffering from rather than establishing good patterns. So give it a try, work hard, get this down pat, and then we can move on to bigger and better things together. Thank you.